Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 3 of the Catalunya 2.0 Exit Through the Ether with Pangea. We're joined tonight by Eric and Mark, and tonight we'll be continuing the idea of a new Catalonian digital nation. Eric.
Yeah, so last time we had a broad discussion about what is happening in Catalonia and how a virtual nation can bring an end to this, or how it could alleviate the situation. Now we want to go a bit more into the practical realities of creating a DBVN, a decentralized borderless voluntary nation, on top of the Bitnation Pangea platform. And before we go more into that, I would like to ask Mark what has been happening in the last week, actually, here on Earth, on Catalonia.
Okay, so yeah, after there was a referendum and there was a big strike that all people protested against the violence in Catalonia. Everybody was expecting our president to declare the independence, because as the Catalan law said, after 48 hours after presenting the results, the independence should be declared. That was the law. So they presented the results on Saturday, if I remember well. And then on Tuesday, the president was gonna declare the independence. But instead of doing that, he said this was gonna happen, but he made kind of a pause, a break. And he said that he was gonna open dialogue process, because he was listening to many international voices, important people from around the world, the EU, and really important leaders. And so he tried to open a dialogue process between the government of Spain and the government of Catalonia, and even saying that there were many people prepared to mediate this dialogue. And
did the Catalan president actually declare independence or not? Because there was one situation where the whole world was thinking he was going to declare independence, and then finally he didn't.
Yeah, because the point is, he started explaining our whole history. How did we end up in this situation? And at some point, it kind of felt that he was going to declare it, but then he explicitly said that he wasn't doing it. But he never said that he was never going to do it. On the other way around, he just said it's just a pause. It's a short break for opening, negotiations, dialogue with the Spanish government, and it's going to happen because it's what people decide, and we have to accomplish. We have to follow what people vote. And but basically after that, Spain said that there's no way to dialogue with someone which is outside of the law. And then they said, in my opinion, it was kind of childish behavior from the Spanish government, because instead of saying, okay, do that and then we can talk, for example, or we should try to find a way to talk, they just say, did you declare the independence, yes or not? That's the only thing they want to know. They said, no, there's no way to talk to each other. It just, did you declare it, say it or not? Then our president sent them a letter and said that he didn't, but probably he didn't say like super explicitly, like he just said that he was open to dialogue. He was really wishing for that. And then the Spanish government gave an ultimatum and said, you have until Thursday, so it was until today actually, to tell me if you really declared independence or not. And our president said that he didn't. But since the Spanish government was threatening the Catalan government to apply the Article 155 of the Spanish Constitution, which allows to suspend an autonomy region, so like to suspend the government and all governmental institutions. Yeah, our president finally said, if you're gonna anyway suspend our government, we are gonna declare it because it makes no sense. Yeah, and another big thing that happened is that they judge like the head of our regional police for sedition. I don't know if it tells you something in English.
So there were like 2 or 3 political prisoners, right? People who were actually not political functionaries were detained for their involvement in the Catalan independence. And we see more and more how the state is just using its monopoly on violence to prevent people from declaring independence.
Yeah, I mean, it's really sad because like the 2 leaders of these civil organizations for the referendum, of course, and for the yes, organized during the last 7 years, like the biggest demonstrations ever in Europe, and where all of them were pacific, and there was no violence, nothing wrong. People just showing what they wanted. They want to vote. They want a new country, a better country, and yeah, and they end up in prison. So we have political prisoners now in Spain, and until now it seems that like the head of our police is not going to go to jail, but it's not clear because he should declare again. Yeah, and it's kind of ironical because so our regional police took more ballot boxes than Guardia Civil and Policía Nacional, the national police from Spain, and they use no violence at all. So what an irony that he's the one being judged and he's almost going to jail as well and being, of course, a political prisoner.
Yeah. So now we can see, let's say, the aftermath of all these things that happened, and it's sad to see how Catalans feel like their voice is unheard. Like people are listening, but there's no action. So now we come again to the idea of Catalonia 2.0, where anyone can take action just by writing code or just by using our platform and our tools to implement their ideas. So last time we had some broad idea about your Catalonia 2.0. And I think some points that I remembered were that you want to have open borders, that you want to receive refugees as well, that you want to have like equal rights for marriage, also for gay couples, and as well, I think a similar economic system like that we have today, right?
Yeah, that these were the points. You're right.
Yeah. So now we can continue with a little bit of your background and competencies, and yeah, basically about who is the let's say creator of this Catalonia 2.0. Just tell a little bit about how your background can help people to identify with this Catalonia 2.0.
Okay, so I studied computer science, like in a really technical way. I studied like precisely operative systems, databases administration, the networks administration, and as well then web programming, visual programming, scripting. So I kind of know a little bit of everything in computer science, although I'm not a precise expert in anything. And then I studied psychology because basically because I couldn't find a job as a IT in the IT sector. But back in the time, there was no jobs for anybody in Spain. And yeah, I started studying psychology. I finished it, and then I moved to Germany, where I'm right now, which I'm finishing a master's in cognitive science. And my majors are artificial intelligence and neuroinformatics and robotics.
Yes,
So
you actually have quite relevant skills related to building software, and you're let's say in the middle. You're also Catalan, but you also seen the world. You traveled outside, so you could both represent Catalans, but also the vision of a virtual, borderless, yeah, let's say international nation, or Catalonia 2.0.
yeah, and I mean, I speak almost 5 languages as well, so it's another skill I can use, like Catalan, Spanish, English, German, and enough French to defend myself, at least. And yeah, and
So I think we could go a bit more into the interesting questions about what constitutes your Catalonia 2.0. So one question is your nation virtual or geographical? So this question means whether your DBVN delivers only virtual services such as public notaries, timestamping, mediation, dispute resolution, and all of this done through smart contracts, or if you also intend to deliver physical services such as be it the roads, be it public schools, be it I don't know, cleaning the streets. It might be anything. So you could either be virtual, geographical, both, or even something else. So what is your decision?
I would say I would rather start being virtual nation and then some kind of enhance that into both, like so virtual and geographical, if the virtual services are working well, if it's possible, of course.
Yeah, that sounds reasonable. So your, let's say, growth strategy is to first of all deliver services independently from also where people reside. So also people outside of Catalonia could access these services, right?
Yeah, that's the point. Yeah.
And you could show that you have a reasonable, let's say, business plan for your virtual nation, for your DBVN. And after proving, let's say, how this works, you can furthermore maybe contracts local physical services to also deliver to your citizens.
Yeah, sounds good. I mean, I'm not an expert in business nor market, but yeah.
But that's what you also have the citizens for. I mean, also one of the interesting ideas and that we empower with Bitnation is holacracy, where people themselves can open up new holons. So there are sort of groups that take care of maybe of accounting, maybe of engineering, maybe it could be anything. So also citizens that, let's say, gather under your banner, they could also help you with that by having, let's say, business holon.
Yeah, I see the point. I agree.
And apart from that, okay, so we know already Catalonia 2.0, it describes a geographical location, Catalonia, but as you said, you want to have a borderless Catalonia, so it means that you also offer the services to anyone outside, right? So it means actually it's also a global service, right? I mean, for the digital services at least.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it doesn't really make sense to be a country that it's not open to the world, and I think to let people get in and get out whenever they want, it's the better way to show this. Yeah.
And furthermore, let's say, one of the important questions for your new nation would be what kind of legal codes would apply to you and your citizens that choose to live under this Catalonia 2.0? So we have a variety of different options. You could either say none, like absolutely no law. You could say there could be competing codes of law, and you could have a market for law with different judges with different codes of law. You could have UN law or the law that is in all of the EU countries, for example, which is supranational law. You could have common law, which is dominating in the UK and all Anglo-Saxon countries, which is based on precedents. So based on what a court and juries have decided on former similar cases, the same decisions will be also used for new cases that have the similar story. And then we also have civil law, which is the law that we also have in Spain or Germany nowadays, or let's say in continental Europe. And then you also have computer code in the sense that you create singular smart contracts with, let's say, like small bits of a legal code, and you gather them together to conglomerate of smart contracts that are maybe even not adhering to some principles, but just connecting together based on the use cases. So, or even another code of law. I mean, could be anything. Could be the Sharia. It could be religious laws. It could be any type of law. So, Mark, did you open up your mind about what you personally would prefer to have as a code of law? Let's say, first of all, for yourself.
It's a really hard decision, but I would say that I like the idea of this computer code. But so from my experience, I could say, and taking into account what's happening right now in my country, because what's happening is that there's no separation of powers. So basically it means that the Spanish government is controlling the judges. I would pick the legal code which favors the biggest or the best power separation between the government and the people who apply the law or decide for the law.
So you're talking about the Supreme Court, right? Because this in both common law and civil law. And your personal opinion about the Supreme Courts is what? You think they are corrupted, or you think you should have them, but you should have them in a different way, or how? I'm trying to distinguish between the choices that we have.
Yeah, I would really say that they should be completely independent from the government. They should have no relationship that could act because of because they are working under pressure or under the orders of someone.
So, considering this, let's say, element of corruption, if you have smart contracts, you just have predefined terms and conditions, and you have no one who can, let's say, change the way the law should be interpreted. You do everything before, and once you set up the code, it's done. People have to follow the smart contracts I mean, you and others, like judges and your virtual nation, design. So I suppose actually also considering your background as someone who studies computer science, I think computer code would actually be a good legal code, because you, let's say, some general ideas probably of what should be done and what should not be done, and you can for each case develop a smart contract and then conglomerate all of them together to sort of code of law that applies to your DBVN.
So let's pick up the computer code.
No, I mean, if you think that this is not appropriate, you can still change your opinion. I mean, this is really totally voluntary. I'm not telling anyone what to do. Hello, Mark, are you there?
I'm there. I mean,
Okay.
in principle, I'm staying with computer code. Yeah.
Okay, good. So like maybe one last question that we can already touch upon, but maybe we can discuss further in the next episode would be what jurisdiction do you want your DBVN to use? So there we have, for example, the existing nation-state jurisdiction. So it would be the jurisdiction of Spain. Or you could have an international jurisdiction like the EU jurisdiction, or even the UN jurisdiction. Or you can build your DBVN on top of a blockchain jurisdiction, such as the Pangea platform, or maybe another blockchain jurisdiction that you may know of. So yeah, it's up to you. Do you want your DBVN to function inside of the existing system, either the national state law or the international law, such as the EU, or do you want to build something completely new on top of the blockchain?
I would prefer to build something completely new on top of blockchain. So that would be the option of Bitnation, Pangea?
Yeah. So yeah, as of now, we're still in development, but like in the near future, we will launch the alpha version of our Bitnation Pangea platform, where you can already start implementing smart contracts for your DBVN. And the very idea of this is also that you make up your mind about all of these things. And once you have written them down, we will transfer them into Solidity smart contracts that work on top of the Ethereum blockchain. So just to summarize what we discussed in this episode, we have found out, let's say, what is happening on the ground, what is happening here in Catalonia, that there are political prisoners, that Spain does not accept Catalonia's independence, and that there's that the Catalan government is trying to open up the dialogue again. We have went on with the implementation of a Catalunya 2.0 DBVN, and decided that for Mark's Catalunya 2.0, it should be a virtual nation that starts with virtual services and should be accessible to anyone in the world and not just Catalans. And we defined that Mark's code of law should be computer code. So based on singular instances, building smart contract by smart contract, he will have his own, let's say, code of law for his DBVN. And lastly, we picked upon the different jurisdictions that exist currently. And Mark wants to implement his DBVN on the Bitnation Pangea jurisdiction, which works on the Ethereum blockchain at the moment. So yeah, for the next time, we would like to have one of the members of our legal hold-on to help us decide on the different ways of implementing laws through law enforcement, and also give us her opinion on the different jurisdictions. And furthermore, we can also maybe go into the decision-making process. How are decisions being made between citizens on your virtual nation? So that's what we're going to discuss next time. Thank you, everyone, for your attention.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Eric. And we'll speak to you again next week.